Imagine waking up every morning feeling free, unshackled by the weight of fear, stepping into the world with confidence, embracing life's unpredictability without hesitation. Now, think about how fear has shaped your decisions, how many opportunities you have avoided, how many moments of joy you have sabotaged, and how much life you have missed out on. Fear is one of the most primal emotions we experience, deeply ingrained in our biology as a survival mechanism. But what happens when this protective instinct starts to control us, shaping our reality and dictating our every move? In this journey, we will uncover the truth about fear, what it is, how it manifests, and most importantly, how to overcome it. We will explore the wisdom of great philosophers, the insights of modern psychology, and the power of practical strategies to help you reclaim your life. And make no mistake, the final revelation will be the most powerful of them all. A truth so profound that, once you understand it, fear will no longer hold you hostage. But first, we must begin by understanding the true nature of fear. What is it? Where does it come from? And why does it have such a grip on us? Fear, at its core, is a response to uncertainty, a mechanism designed to protect us from threats, both real and perceived. It originates from the most ancient part of our brain, the amygdala, which has been wired for survival since the dawn of humankind. When our ancestors roamed the wild, fear kept them alive, alerting them to potential dangers. However, in our modern world, this instinct often misfires. We are no longer running from wild animals or warring tribes, yet our minds perceive social rejection, financial instability, and failure as existential threats. The philosopher Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And this is the first great truth about fear. Most of it is an illusion. It is not the actual event or situation that paralyzes us, but our perception of it. Think about the last time you felt afraid. Perhaps it was speaking in public, making a difficult decision, or stepping into the unknown. What was it that you truly feared? Was it the event itself? Or was it the story you told yourself about what might happen? Psychologists call this phenomenon catastrophizing, the tendency to imagine the worst possible outcome, even when there is little evidence to support it. Our minds create terrifying scenarios, convincing us that failure is inevitable, humiliation is certain, and disaster is just around the corner. But here's the paradox. Fear itself is often far worse than the thing we are afraid of. The anticipation of failure is often more painful than the failure itself. The fear of rejection is often more crippling than rejection itself. The fear of death is often more paralyzing than death itself. So how do we break free? How do we stop allowing fear to dictate the course of our lives? The first step is awareness. To dismantle fear, you must first recognize when it is controlling you. Begin to observe your thoughts. Catch yourself in the act of catastrophizing. Ask yourself, is this fear based on reality, or is it a product of my imagination? The second step is to reframe your perspective. Instead of seeing fear as an enemy, recognize it as a teacher. Every fear holds a lesson. Fear of failure teaches you about resilience. Fear of rejection teaches you about self-worth. Fear of the unknown teaches you about courage. The difference between those who are controlled by fear and those who conquer it is not the absence of fear, but their relationship with it. The great psychologist Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." The more you try to suppress fear, the stronger it becomes. But when you acknowledge it, face it, and embrace it, it begins to lose its power over you. And here's a crucial insight. Fear and excitement are two sides of the same coin. The physiological response to fear, racing heart, sweaty palms, shallow breathing, is nearly identical to the response to excitement. The only difference is interpretation. When faced with fear, instead of saying, "I'm terrified," try saying, "I'm excited." This simple shift in language can change your entire experience. Public speakers, athletes, and performers use this technique to transform fear into fuel. But what if fear is deeply ingrained in you? What if it feels impossible to shake off? Then, you must take action. The final and most powerful way to overcome fear is through exposure. Every time you avoid what you fear, you reinforce its power over you. But every time you confront it, you weaken its grip. Psychologists call this exposure therapy, the practice of gradually facing your fears in controlled ways. If you fear public speaking, start by speaking in small groups. If you fear social interactions, start with brief conversations. If you fear failure, start by taking small risks. With each exposure, fear diminishes. Your brain begins to learn, I survived, nothing terrible happened, and over time, what once seemed terrifying becomes manageable and eventually effortless. But there is one final truth about fear, one that will change everything, and that is what we will uncover next. Fear often disguises itself, wearing masks that seem logical and rational. It whispers convincing stories, suggesting that avoidance is the safest path. But here's the paradox. The more we avoid, the more fear grows. It thrives in the shadows of inaction, feeding on uncertainty and doubt. Consider this. What if the very thing you're afraid of is the doorway to your growth? What if fear isn't a warning to retreat, but a signpost pointing towards transformation? The philosopher Joseph Campbell once said, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek." This idea is both terrifying and liberating because it reveals that fear isn't the enemy, it's a compass. Let's explore this through a powerful psychological concept known as the comfort zone. The comfort zone is a psychological state where we feel safe and in control. There's minimal risk and stress levels are low, but while it feels secure, it's also a trap. Growth doesn't happen there. It's beyond this boundary, in the realm of discomfort and uncertainty, where we evolve. Think about the moments in your life when you experienced the most growth. Were they comfortable? Or were they filled with challenges, risks, and yes, fear? The truth is, every meaningful achievement requires stepping beyond the familiar. But how do you do that when fear feels overwhelming? The answer lies in understanding the growth zone and the panic zone. Between comfort and panic, there's a sweet spot, the growth zone. Here, you face challenges that stretch you but don't break you. It's about taking calculated risks, pushing your boundaries gradually, and allowing fear to exist without letting it control you. One effective strategy is called fear setting, a technique popularized by author Tim Ferriss. Unlike goal setting, fear setting involves defining your fears in detail. You write down what you're afraid of, the worst-case scenarios, and then consider the actions you could take to prevent or recover from those scenarios. This process demystifies fear, stripping it of its exaggerated power. When you confront the worst possible outcomes on paper, you often realize they're not as catastrophic as your mind imagines. Moreover, consider the role of narrative in fear. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. If you constantly narrate your life through a lens of fear, I'm not good enough, I'll fail, I can't handle this, those beliefs become self-fulfilling prophecies. But narratives are not fixed. They can be rewritten. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective psychological approaches, emphasizes this principle. It teaches that our thoughts influence our feelings, which in turn affect our behaviors. By identifying and challenging distorted thinking patterns, we can change how we feel and act. For example, instead of thinking, "If I speak up, people will judge me," you can reframe it to, "I have valuable ideas to share, and not everyone has to agree with me." This shift might seem small, but its impact is profound. Over time, as you consistently challenge fear-based thoughts, they lose their grip. Now, let's talk about an often overlooked ally in overcoming fear: community. Fear thrives in isolation. When we keep our fears hidden, they grow in silence. But when we share them with others, their power diminishes. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, who challenge your limiting beliefs, and who remind you of your capabilities when you forget. Whether it's a mentor, a friend, or a support group, connection provides perspective. It reminds you that you're not alone in your fears. Consider the story of Rosa Parks, a figure whose courage changed history. On that fateful day when she refused to give up her seat, do you think she was fearless? Of course not. She was undoubtedly afraid. But she acted despite her fear, drawing strength from her community and her belief in justice. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision that something else is more important. And here's another truth: fear is a natural part of life. It will never completely disappear. But that's not the goal. The goal is not to be fearless, but to fear less. To feel the fear, and do it anyway. To help you on this journey, start by embracing small acts of courage daily. Speak up when you'd rather stay silent. Try something new even if you're unsure of the outcome. Take that first step, no matter how small, because momentum builds confidence. Reflect on this. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Imagine the possibilities, the experiences and the growth waiting on the other side of fear. But there's still one more layer to uncover, the ultimate truth about fear, the insight that transcends all strategies and techniques. A revelation that, once understood, can shift your entire perspective on life itself. What if I told you that fear is not just an emotion to be managed, but a profound teacher, a guide pointing toward the very places where your soul seeks to grow? This is the ultimate shift in understanding fear, not as an adversary to defeat, but as an ally to learn from. Think about it. Every time you faced a fear and moved through it, you didn't just survive, you transformed. You became someone new, someone stronger, wiser, more resilient. The fear was not the obstacle, it was the catalyst. This realization changes everything. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." Fear often arises from our resistance to change, our desire to control outcomes, to cling to the familiar. But life itself is change. It's dynamic, unpredictable, and beyond our control. The more we resist, the more fear we create. The more we accept, the freer we become. Consider the story of Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha. His journey wasn't about avoiding fear, but confronting the deepest existential fears, suffering, loss, and death. Through his experiences, he discovered that fear arises from attachment and the illusion of permanence. When we accept the impermanence of all things, fear loses its grip. This leads us to a transformative practice, mindfulness. Mindfulness is the art of being fully present, observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's about noticing fear when it arises, naming it and sitting with it, not trying to escape or fight it, but allowing it to be there without letting it define you. When you observe fear with curiosity instead of judgment, something remarkable happens. You begin to see it for what it truly is: sensations in the body, thoughts in the mind, fleeting and impermanent. You realize that you are not your fear. You are the awareness that observes it. Modern neuroscience supports this. Studies show that mindfulness practices can reduce the activity of the amygdala, the brain's fear center, while strengthening the prefrontal cortex, responsible for rational thinking and emotional regulation. In other words, mindfulness rewires your brain, changing how you experience fear. Try this simple exercise. The next time you feel afraid, pause. Take a deep breath. Name the fear silently to yourself. This is fear. Notice where you feel it in your body. Is it tightness in your chest? A knot in your stomach? Just observe, without trying to change it. Then, gently shift your attention to your breath, anchoring yourself in the present moment. This practice doesn't make fear disappear, but it changes your relationship with it. You're no longer trapped in the story fear tells. You become the witness, the calm center amidst the storm. But awareness alone isn't enough. To truly transform fear, we must cultivate courage. And courage isn't something you're born with, it's something you build, one small act at a time. Nelson Mandela, who faced unimaginable fears during his fight against apartheid, said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Courage is a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Start small. Take risks that feel manageable. Celebrate every victory, no matter how minor. Each act of courage sends a powerful message to your subconscious. I am capable. I can handle this. And here's a secret. Courage is contagious. When you live boldly, you inspire others to do the same. Your courage becomes a beacon, lighting the way for those around you. But let's go even deeper. What lies beneath all fear? If we peel back the layers, fear of failure, rejection, loss, what do we find at the core? The fear of death. Not just physical death, but the death of the ego, the loss of identity, the unknown. This existential fear is the root of many anxieties, but confronting it can be liberating. Philosophers like Socrates embraced the inevitability of death, not as something to fear, but as a natural part of life. In fact, acknowledging mortality can give life greater meaning. It reminds us that our time is limited, and that's precisely what makes it precious. When you accept that everything is temporary, your fears, your successes, even your existence, you stop clinging. You start living fully, embracing each moment with openness and gratitude. This is the paradox. To overcome fear, you must face it head-on, not to fight it, but to understand it, to sit with it, learn from it, and allow it to transform you. So ask yourself, what is fear trying to teach me? What part of myself is waiting to emerge on the other side of this fear? Because here's the truth, the life you dream of is on the other side of fear. The person you're meant to become is waiting beyond the limits you've placed on yourself. And now, as we approach the final part of this journey, we will uncover the most profound revelation about fear, a truth that will not only shift your mindset, but change the way you live. What if I told you that the ultimate freedom from fear doesn't come from conquering it, but from embracing it fully, recognizing it as an integral part of the human experience? The final revelation is this: fear will always exist, but it no longer has to control you. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves represent your fears, some small and gentle, others towering and fierce. Most people spend their lives trying to avoid the waves, running from the shoreline, terrified of being pulled under. But true freedom comes when you realize that you are not separate from the ocean. You are part of it. The waves may rise and crash, but they cannot drown you because you've learned how to swim. This is the essence of fear. It's not an external force to be battled, but an inner current to be navigated. Its energy, raw, powerful, and, when harnessed, transformative. Consider the wisdom of Rumi, the great Sufi poet who wrote, "Don't move the way fear makes you move the way love makes you move." This isn't just poetic sentiment, it's a profound truth. When you shift your motivation from fear to love, from avoidance to engagement, your entire life changes. Think of fear as a signal, not a stop sign. It's an invitation to look deeper, to question, to explore. Instead of asking, "How do I get rid of this fear?" ask, "What is this fear teaching me about myself?" Perhaps it's pointing to a dream you've buried, a truth you've ignored, or a part of yourself you've yet to embrace. Take the story of Malala Yousafzai, who faced unimaginable fear in her fight for girls' education. She didn't eliminate her fear. She transformed it into a force for courage. She once said, "I told myself, Malala, you have already faced death. This is your second life. Don't be afraid. If you are afraid, you can't move forward." Her story isn't just about bravery. It's about the alchemy of turning fear into purpose. Now, let's ground this wisdom into practical steps you can carry forward. First, acknowledge your fear without judgment. Naming it gives you power over it. Instead of saying, "I am afraid," say, "I notice fear is present." This subtle shift reminds you that fear is an experience, not an identity. Second, breathe through the fear. The simple act of conscious breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming your body and mind. When fear arises, pause. Inhale deeply through your nose, hold for a moment, and exhale slowly. Feel the tension release with each breath. Third, reframe your narrative. Fear often tells stories of limitation. Challenge those stories. Instead of, "I can't do this," say, "This is difficult, but I can learn." Instead of, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I grow?" Your words shape your reality. Fourth, take action, however small. Fear thrives on inertia. The moment you move, fear loses its grip. Action doesn't mean giant leaps. It can be as simple as making a phone call you've been avoiding, speaking up in a meeting, or trying something new. Each step builds momentum. Finally, cultivate a practice of gratitude. Fear focuses on what might go wrong. Gratitude shifts your attention to what is already good. Every day, reflect on what you're grateful for, no matter how small. This practice rewires your brain to notice abundance rather than scarcity. But beyond all these strategies lies the deepest truth. You are not broken. There is nothing wrong with you for feeling fear. It means you're alive, engaged with life, standing at the edge of growth. Fear is a sign that you care, that you're on the brink of something meaningful. So as you face the world, remember this: you are stronger than your fear. You are more than your doubts. You are the ocean, vast and deep, with waves that rise and fall, but never define you. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I no longer let fear make my decisions? Imagine the places you'd go, the dreams you'd chase, the person you'd become. And here's the final, most powerful revelation. The life you seek isn't waiting beyond your fear, it's waiting through it. The path isn't around fear, it's through it, step by courageous step. Now I leave you with this question. If not now, when? If not you, who? The world isn't something to be feared. It's something to be embraced, explored, and lived fully. You have everything you need within you. Go live boldly. Thanks for looking.